The Conservation of Limpets by Megan Riley. Conservation is a very heavily discussed topic throughout our world and especially our nation today. Conservation is extremely important for the survival and well-being of many species. Conservation has succeeded in revitalizing species populations such as the bald eagle, blue whales, sea otters, and many more. It can help bring species back to full or close to the original numbers before an incident occurred. With so many species having such a success story from the efforts of conservation, what species is next? How about Patella fugina? But what is Patella fugina? Patella fugina is a small ribbed marine mollusk, also known as a limpet. It is a cone-shaped shell and a foot that allows for them to cling tightly onto the rocks. Picture to the left, you can see what a Patella fugina looks like. But where can they be found? Limpets generally can be found on all rocky shores. Patella fugina can be found in the Mediterranean. Now, why should you care? Limpets provide the rocky ecosystem with food, while also keeping species like barnacles and algae in check. They graze upon the rocks as they stick. As you can see here, you have a barnacles surrounding a limpet. This helps keep the rocky intertidal zone in balance, while also feeding some species around them. Patella fugina is currently fighting off the major threat of extinction, disappearing due to anthropogenic causes such as overhunting and competition from other rock-hugging organisms. The species that was once found all around the Mediterranean basin is now only found in small areas. And according to a scientific study done by Espinosa et al. In 2006, both the Asian origin of P. fugina and the present geographical isolation among relic populations could lead to great genetic differences among populations, taking into account the supposedly low dispersal among species with relatively large size, suggesting a short platonic phase. So what conservation efforts are being done? A study was conducted by a group of scientists from the University of Gibraltar to see if there was any way to get the population back up to the original size. In the article, it describes the results of a field experiment where 97 individuals were transported to a new site, which used a technique involving carefully moving the limpets while inactive, so during their low tide, still attached to their home scars on the breakwater boulders. And the results of this experiment were extremely positive, with 87% of all translocated limpets alive 10 months after the move, and the mortality rate compared favorably with the obtained from the existing control population out of receptor site. That was Finlayson et al. In 2018. So a pretty recent study that's being done. Here you can see where in Gibraltar and on the Mediterranean Sea this is exactly being done. A and B are the sites where they were moved from. By moving limpet-covered rocks, they hope to increase the population. There have also been bans on hunting, which are hoping to bring the population numbers back. With those under control, there could be other ways to boost the system population. Finlayson et al. Learned about what favorable conditions allow for limpets to grow at their best by seeing that those south-facing limpets who had the sun were able to grow in a much better, stronger way. But is there another way? But what about aquaculture? With studies being done like the Finlayson et al. In 2018, they were able to see what favorable conditions allowed for these mollusks to grow. So we have knowledge and tools. Some other studies done was Copa et al. 2010 and Espinosa et al. 2006. But how could it be done? By growing the limpets in a closed system, we'd be able to monitor them and get them the proper conditions that they would need to grow. If we grew them on rocks, that way we weren't prying them off, we could transport those rocks or other kinds of cement structures to a new area to help them grow. They can be grown on cement or other recycled ocean-safe materials to ensure that there's enough space for new limpets to grow and increase space for other species to grow in as well, increasing the diversity in the rocky shore intertidal zones. We can save P for Gina, but with growing concerns of anthropogenic disturbances and rising sea levels happening on the coast, it may be too late, but we need to try to save these beautiful limpets.